Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, alhamdulillah, wa salatu wa salamu ala Rasulullah. We continue reading from the 40 principles of the religion, the 40 fundamentals, Al-Arba fi Usul by Imam Al-Ghazali, rahimahullah, wa nafa'ana ajma'in, ameen, ameen, ameen. And we have reached the epilogue at the end of the third quarter of Al-Arba'in. And this epilogue, the matrix of character and places of delusion within it. Know that blameworthy characteristics are many. However, their roots go back to what we have mentioned. It is not enough for you to purify yourself from some of them until you are purified of them all. If you have abandoned one that was predominant in you, then that should call you to abandoning the rest, because some of them are tied to others. And some blameworthy characteristics are subject to others. And in fact, one can say that also this might be used, though it's not fashionable probably today. Satan could use it against you, like just simply to cause despair in your heart, and that you are finished, and and since you are indulging in one sin, what's a bad character? You are sinning. Whether it's basically the bad character is being stingy, that's to the degree that you don't give your zakah, or you try to give something that is absolutely unacceptable, which was the case of one companion, not the best of his sheep or cattle, or backbiting, indulging in backbiting, indulging because there is certain pleasure that one gets a kick out of backbiting, for example. No one is saved except he who meets Allah with a sound heart. A sound heart, a cleansed heart. يوم لا ينفع مال ولا بنون إلا من أتى الله بقلب سليم, sound. As Imam Al-Ghazali says that in Ihya Ulum, that this world is Darul Marda. This is the house of the sick. And who are the healers? Who are the... Okay, of course one might, because the analogy is to sickness. Who are the healers? Physical sickness is the physician. The spiritual sickness is the ulama, who have followed the path of the Prophet ﷺ. So no one is saved except he who meets Allah with a sound heart, qalb salim. And absolute soundness is not attained through eliminating some illness. Rather, it is only attained through absolute health. Just as beauty does not occur by the beauty of some of the limbs, so long as all of the extremities are not beautiful. Salvation is in good character. The Prophet ﷺ said, the heaviest thing to be placed on the scale in good is good character. And the text that the Tirmidhi said about that it is a good Hasan, meaning the chain of narrators, ما من شيء أثقل في الميزان من حسن الخلق. It's practically the same. It's good character. It's the heaviest, but of course the cornerstone, just in case somebody asks, what about Tawheed? You know very well that Husn al-Khuluq without Tawheed on the day of judgment doesn't really save. If you talk about the salvific value, if you will, you build on tawheed. In fact, tawheed should lead you to good character. In another hadith, the Prophet ﷺ said, I was sent to complete noble character. إنما بعثت لأتمم مكارم الأخلاق إنما بعثت لأتمم صالح الأخلاق. Another text of the same hadith. And what it means, what's the background? The background is what we call in general the Jahiliyyah. The way of life and ethics and morality and worship and what have you before Islam. And Jahiliyyah is basically the age of ignorance. But it was not really devoid, like it was not really that the case that they did not have any good character. And I think this is very important to everybody knows that at least one Muslim intellectual in the 20th century dealt with the issue of Jahiliyyah. And the problem is that one might be tempted, the way he was tempted, to look at the society and say, well, it is Jahiliyyah, then you need a radical approach. The Jahiliyyah itself was not devoid of good character. So, for example, it is known that the Arabs were pre-Islamic Arabs, like Hatim al-Ta'i, for example. We say Akram min Hatim. Hatim is the most generous in pre-Islamic Arabia. But it's not really an absolute state. Like, he was definitely generous, and there's more than one version of his story of literally offering all that he has in one case, in one version, which is the popular one, that he did not have anything to feed his guest except his horse, so he slaughtered his horse and he fed his guest, which is definitely a story of generosity. But he did mention that he wanted history to mention his name, and here we are 1500 years later, almost, we are mentioning his name. And the Prophet ﷺ met his son, Hatim's son Uday, and also the daughter of Hatim al-Ta'i. So they were generous. Definitely they were generous, and it is still there as a trait. You might find someone who is not, but in general, this is really a trait of the Arabs until today. So the Jahiliyyah, from this perspective, had such a character. Banu Hashim, why they were called Banu Hashim? Hashim himself, that's basically that's his. It was simply from smashing really bread and meat and to feed the hungry and the pilgrims in Mecca. And one other thing is that they wouldn't lie. Abu Sufyan, because he became Muslim, but when he met with Hercules in Jerusalem and was asked about the Prophet ﷺ, the character or the message, and Abu Sufyan, he wanted to say something, but he was afraid that this will be remembered, like this is really not a good trait. Someone with good character would not do such a thing. So even though he had at the time animosity towards the Prophet ﷺ, he was simply an idol worshipper at the time. and he was meeting with Hercules, who was looking for some, for something. As we see today in the media, the character assassination, as we call it, lying leaders who lie systematically. Uh, Unfortunately, even certain Arab TVs, they keep inviting those who are systematic, chronic liars. So the Arabs were generous. The Arabs would not lie, and all these alliances like Helf al-Fadul, to help the weak, the meek, the needy, someone who does not have really a big tribe to defend them, etc. That was before Islam. At any rate, it's a very long story, but it's important. It's an important thing. The big thing was the idol worshipping. So the Prophet ﷺ in this hadith, which is hadith sahih, he was sent. I was sent to complete noble character. So to complete it means that the grain is already there. So there is something noble. There's something good. And it would be completed through revelation, completed, corrected, that which is good reinforced. The Prophet ﷺ was also asked, what is religion? And this is not, it seems that's not a hadith, it's mursal, but at any rate, we look at the question and the text. So what is religion? He said good character. He said good character is good character. Okay, we said this is not really a tradition per se, but if you say religion is good character, one might say that religion, as an interpretation of the statement, it's not a hadith. Religion produces good character. Okay. The Aisha anha, when she was asked about the the character of the Prophet ﷺ, the moral character of the Prophet ﷺ, she said, كان خلقه القرآن. It means that he absorbed and he lived up to every single thing that was revealed to him, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So that's what it is. You just simply allow yourself to be shaped by Islam. You accept, you believe that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala exists, you accept the prophecy of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Then what's next? Just simply allow Islam to shape your character. The next hadith, the thing is, it's not really this time. In Arabic, it's حسن الخلق خلق الله, and one of the some of the other traditions that are have the same content. ألا وإن حسن الخلق خلق من أخلاق الله. Imam Al-Dhahabi said this is موضوع forged. It's not a hadith at all. It was simply invented, if you will. And the hadith تخلقوا بأخلاق الله, that's also popular, but Ibn al-Qayyim in al-Madarij, he said that لا أصل له, it has no origin at all. So the best of believers in terms of faith are those with the best character. But this is after saying, yes, I'm sorry. Also, he said good character is Allah's character, subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is موضوع really. لا أصل له. He also said the best of believers in terms of faith are those with the best character. This hadith Hasan. أفضل المؤمنين أكمل المؤمنين إيمانا أحسنهم خلقا. And there's another phrase that comes at the end of the hadith that is not mentioned here. وَخِيَارُكُمْ خِيَارُكُمْ نِسَاءُكُمْ, and the good amongst you are good to their women. Good to their woman. It's not only the wife, your woman, but of course primarily how you deal with your wife. It could be the daughters. You don't deprive them of. Say that you have money. How could you? How could you basically deprive your daughter of what the Sharia gave her? I was approached by someone quite some time ago at Al-Aqsa Mosque, and by someone who told me that his wife is encouraging him to deprive their daughters of inheritance, so to give everything to the boys, to their sons. That's haram. And in this case, it's the wife who is basically who reflects a certain trait within the society that some people do not. Some could be many people who do not want the girls to inherit, especially when they are married, and thinking that the money will go to someone who is gharib, as they say, a stranger. Well, the money goes to your daughter. She has children to educate, to build a house, to assist those who would like to get married and they don't have enough resources, whatever. In as much as you'd like to your sons also to have money, then also make sure that your daughter will have money. That's only one aspect of it. And if you give gifts in this life, then equal gifts to all of them, boys and girls, sons and daughters. Don't try to cheat. There are many statements regarding the reality and clarity, or clarifying the definition of good character. Most people turn their attention toward some of its fruits, but not fully comprehend all of its details. What will make you privy to its reality is that you know that form and character are two separate expressions. What is intended by form is the outer image, and what is intended by character is the inner image. This is because the human being is composed of a body that is perceptible to the eye, and from a spirit that is perceptible to insight, not the eye. Each one is a shape, either ugly or beautiful. The self that is perceived by insight is of greater esteem. For this reason, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala related it to himself and related the body to clay. He said, إني خالق بشرا من طين فإذا سويت ونفخت فيه من روحي. And this is really, so the outer form is clay, but there is something that was related to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَنَفَخْتُ فِيهِ مِنْ رُوحِي. Verily I will create a human being from clay. So when I have formed him, and blown into him from my spirit. He said, قُلُ الرُّوحُ مِنْ أَمْرِ رَبِّي. Say, the spirit is from my Lord's affair. I intend a single meaning here by spirit, الروح, and self, and nafs. It is the divinely inspired, conscious, perceptive substance of the human being. As he says, وَنَفْسٍ وَمَا سَوَّاهَا فَأَلْهَمَهَا فُجُورَهَا وَتَقْوَاهَا قَدْ أَفْلَحَ مَنْ زَكَّاهَا وَقَدْ خَابَ مَنْ دَسَّاهَا. By the spirit and what forms it, then inspires it with consciousness of its wrongdoing and piety. He who purifies it is successful, and he who lowers it has failed. So Imam Al-Ghazali continues by the following comments: just as there are pillars to outer beauty, like the eyes, nose, mouth, and cheek, and the outer is not described as beautiful so long as all of the features are not beautiful. Likewise, the inner form has pillars. All of them must be beautiful in order for character to be good. These inner features are four concepts: the force of knowledge, the force of anger, the force of desire, and the force of balance between the other three forces. If these four pillars are even and work in a balanced conjunction, good character occurs. As for the force of knowledge, its balance and beauty is to become cognizant of the difference between honesty and lies regarding speech, between truth and falsity. And I would like to say that we know the truth, despite all the attempts to fabricate and provide fake news as we see nowadays. Very shameful positions. Very shameful positions. They lie so that they will not adhere to one set of rules for everyone. International law does not apply to us. Humanitarian law does not apply to us. Humanism does not apply to us. Dehumanization, demonization. I would say that everyone, I would like to start with this premise. At least lip service. Even the enemy of truth, they would say that they would like to achieve peace. But rest assured, without truth and justice in that order, truth, justice, the fruit will be peace. But you cannot gloss over truth, you cannot gloss over justice. So peace and justice and truth. So truth leads to justice. It should be. Otherwise, why we say the truth? And then the fruit will be peace. All these conferences, all these studies, all these centers, all these think tanks, and all these studies about security, nary a word about justice. Where are those who address the issue of justice so that things will be okay on earth and not only in one region? So as for the force of knowledge, its balance and beauty is to become cognizant of the difference between honesty and lies regarding speech, between truth and falsity regarding beliefs, and between the beauty or the beautiful and the ugly regarding deeds. If this force is capable of the aforementioned, then the fruit of wisdom is attained from it, which is the head of all virtue. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَمَن يُؤْتَ الْحِكْمَةَ فَقَدْ أُوتِيَ خَيْرًا كَثِيرًا وَمَا يَذَّكَّرُ إِلَّا أُولُو الْأَلْبَابِ. Whoever is given wisdom has been given much good, and none remember except those with profound understanding. As for the force of anger, its balance is achieved when it is restrained and released according to what either the revealed law or wisdom dictates. The same applies for the force of desire. As for the force of balance, it lies in controlling the forces of anger and desire through the guidance of religion and reason. Reason assumes the place of the advisor, while the force of balance is power, which assumes the place of the executor who follows the signal of reason. Anger and desire are the things that are executed at reason's signal. They are like the dog and the horse to the hunter. If some of these are good without the others, then it is like when some parts of the face look good without the others. The term beautiful is not applied to the face except when it is entirely good looking and well proportioned. Similarly, if these characteristics are good and proportionate, praiseworthy character in its entirety will emanate from their possessor. As for the force of anger, its balance is expressed through courage, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala loves courage for His sake. If it leans toward the excessive side, it is called recklessness, and if it leans toward deficiency, it is called cowardice. This is pretty much like Aristotelian Nicomachean ethics. The same. The next example is the same. Generosity, for example, with generosity, if the excessive would become spendthrift and the deficiency is stinginess. So he says generosity, helpfulness, respectability, forbearance, decorum, controlling anger, dignity, and deliberation are the traits that stem from it being balanced. As for when it is excessive, then haughtiness, conceit, vanity, lack of self control, arrogance, and self admiration occur because of it. As for its neglect, then cowardice, lowliness, degradation, worthlessness, lack of indignation, little concern for family, and inward pettiness occur because of it. As for desire, its balance is expressed through chastity. So, the chaste amongst the people of the book, the women, والمحصنات, it exists through lasciviousness, and its neglect or weakness through dullness, selflessness, modesty, patience, tolerance, satisfaction, piety, mutual help, graciousness, and little covetousness come from chastity. Lust, lasciviousness, impudence, wastefulness, stinginess, ostentation, debasement, buffoonery, brown nosing, envy, malice, self deprecation to the rich, holding the poor in contempt, and other than these come from its success. As for the force of reason, then good planning, open mindedness, keen insight, correct opinion, accurate and in depth understanding of things, and overriding the ego's false come from its balance. As for its successes, or as for the its success, then filthiness, shrewdness, scheming, and cheating occur because of it. As for its neglect or weakness, then stupidity, foolishness, naivete, silliness, and gullibility occur because of it. These are the bonds of character, and the meaning of good character, in reference to all of them, is the median between excess and neglect. For moderation is the best of everything. I think we need to return to the idea of uh, Aristotelian ethics, just to explain the notion of the median, which is really also it is reflected in Islamic literature, including in Al-Ghazali. And there is no time right now to address it. So inshallah, tomorrow we'll do that. Until tomorrow. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.